Fellas, how in the hell are we doing here today? If you can't already tell or you're lost or something, you are at Lunar's Fantasy Football Extravaganza. Oh, wait, that way. We're still trying to figure out how to move the finger in space. You know, I'm trapped in this box. Trapped in the box. So yeah, here we are, week 8, episode 2 of Lunar Fantasy Football Extravaganza. So this video is going to be a little bit different than the last one because we don't have to do the whole season recap of what already happened. We're just going to go over last week's match, and then we'll go over next week's match. And we'll kind of send you on your way, you know what I'm saying? So in case you didn't watch last video, or you forgot what I was talking about in last video because we talked about a lot of stuff, we were going up against the boy Bound BMO in week 7. This isn't the exact starting lineup that BMO ended up using. There was a few changes, but this is how we were pretty much looking the entire time leading up to Sunday, all right? 120.39 versus 120.62. I mean, this could not have been any closer. This was straight 50-50 even down the board, and even throughout Sunday and Monday, this could not have been any closer. There was at least 3 or 4 different lead changes where I would be up 60-70% chance to win at one moment, then I'd be down 20 to 30% chance. Up 60, down 30, like back and forth, back and forth. I mean, my heart could not take all of this. I thought I was gonna have a stroke at 23. I've watched a lot of sports. I've seen a lot of crazy moments, gotten pretty hype, but this was the most stressful anything I had ever watched, all right? And this is the first year I've even watched NFL. So yeah, it was crazy, really hard fought battle. You might be asking yourself, well, Lunar, what the hell happened? Let me show you. Boom! You already know what time it is, fellas. 157.3 to 131.6. All right, the ending score actually ended up pretty fat, not gonna lie. But believe me, when I tell you this was close, it was close. Jumping straight into Sunday, we both had a 50-50% chance of winning, all right? But in the early games, like the first 10 a.m. kickoff games that happened, bro started kind of blowing me out of the water. I'm not gonna lie. So he had Jacobs, Jones, and Barkley all go for 20-plus points. And that sent my team into panic mode. At the same time, I had Mixon, Brown, and Diggs playing. Brown and Mixon did a pretty good job alleviating some of the damage that these two were doing, but Diggs really screwed your boy up this week. It's not even his fault either. You know whose fault it is? Motherfucking CJ Stroud. All right, that boy dropped like 5 points as a quarterback. I could not believe it. He had the worst day ever. I think the Browns backup quarterback that came in for Watson might have had a better day than CJ Stroud. I mean, it was... Oh. I was really expecting Diggs to have a great game because this was one of the first times he's like actually in the wide receiver 1 role. He's going to be catching all the balls Nico should be catching. He's already been going off all year. Get 7 points. We get 7 points. Oh, that just hurt me. That hurt me so bad to watch and experience. He was supposed to get 15. He got 7, and we started diving. All right. I'd say around halftime-ish with the first games, we were down to like a 30% chance to win. This was like the first time where there was like a real advantage because his boys were going off, and I think Mixon and Brown were yet to really pick up a lot of their points. But the Houstons used the hell out of Mixon on Sunday, and that really helped your boy out. All right, they couldn't get anything going in the air, but Mixon was definitely able to run that ball. That 26 points, oh my gosh, that like... Ugh, that saved me big time. After the first games were all said and done with, we had kind of climbed our way back to a fighting chance, but Sleeper was still sleeping on your boy, all right? We had like a 30% chance to win around the end of the first like game cycle, and it was looking pretty grim, all right? I was really needing Johnson and Kelsey to have bad games to kind of get me back into it, and boom, they did. Not even just those two, though. He had Purdy, Chase, and his defense going. Pretty much everybody besides his kicker playing in that second cycle, but I was really just banking on those two to do bad, and they did. But not even just that, his defense didn't do good. They only got 5 points, and Purdy, I don't know how he scraped away with 20 points here because he did miserable on Sunday. It's because he got like 2 free rushing touchdowns, but if it weren't for those, he would have had a as bad game as CJ Stroud. So he somehow scraped away with 20 points. He shouldn't have. But that was his only highlight after that. And then my boys, you know what I'm saying, started to kind of cook. I had Brock Bowers jump in, boom, drop me 20 points. Then I had Hubbard drop in. Hubbard's been doing really good. He had kind of an off game here, but he still got me 11 points. He was good for a touchdown. I'd count that as, okay, like, At least it's not Diggs. You know what I'm saying? At this point, I'm like, fuck, you did better than Diggs, so whatever. And then Koo kind of let your boy down. I'm not gonna lie. Koo, my young ho, definitely ain't Koo this week, and I don't even know if he's safe, all right? That really disappointed me with the 1 point. But after Sunday was all said and done, your boy somehow managed to not gain a lead in the score, but gain an advantage in the percentage. All right. At the end of the day, we were down by about 15 points, but I had a 60% chance of winning this thing because I had Henry and Mayfield still to play. He also still needed to play Tucker, his kicker, but I was looking at it like, okay, 15 points, say Tucker goes out there and gets another 15, 30 total. Surely I can get 30 points with Derrick Henry and Mayfield, right? We did. Yeah, heck yeah, we did. Mayfield almost did it his damn self with 29, all right? Like, we could have sat Henry and probably still made it out with this thing with Mayfield. But let me tell you, at the start of this game, it was not looking like that at all. All right, the whole first half, Mayfield was just getting absolutely greased by everything. He had a couple different interceptions. One of them was for a touchdown, and I think also that was when Mike Evans tried to catch a touchdown, and then that's when he got hurt. I mean, he got robbed of a few different touchdowns, intercepted 2 balls. It was not looking good, but he somehow managed to claw it back at the end and drop 29 points. I was not expecting that out of him from the first half. I think at halftime, he had around 7 points, and he brought it back and got a whole 22 extras. So that's honestly pretty respectable out of the boy. I love Mayfield for that. But future is looking a little grim for him. We'll talk about that in a sec. And then also Derrick Henry, all right? I'm sitting here down this entire game looking for any points I can get. And Derrick Henry, for like the entire first half of this, is just sitting on the sideline, all right? And it looks like he's like disappointed or kind of upset about it too. Like the announcers are even saying it. They're like, oh, we haven't seen much of Derrick Henry tonight. What's going on with Derrick Henry? Let's send a reporter over there to go see what's going on with Derrick Henry. Then the reporter goes on to find out what's going on with Derrick Henry. And the reporter comes back like, guys, yeah, I talked to the Ravens, and it seems like, Derrick Henry's fine and healthy. That's all I have to say. Back to you, gentlemen. And it's like, what do you mean he's fine and healthy sitting on the bench? Get him on the field right now. The entire first half, I was screaming at my TV like, get this man on the field right now, Ravens. Get him on the field. But, you know, calming it back down a little bit, you know what I'm saying? He actually came out in the second half and went off, all right? Had one run go for like 80 yards, almost had a touchdown. And he had one reception touchdown that was for 13 yards. Just long story short, he handled business, you know what I'm saying? He came out and did Derrick Henry things in the second half, and I really appreciated that. I needed that a lot. So, yeah, that was our week 7, boys. It was an insane thrill ride, and I don't know if I'll ever play fantasy after this season because of this game. I mean, this was just absolutely terrible. I don't know if I could take something like this again. All right, that is enough of that, though. This week is all said and done, and in the past, we are now 5-1, as you can see down there in that corner. We are 5-1. All right, your boy is still cooking, and we are looking to continue this little streak on into week 8. But before we show you week 8 real quick, let me just kind of give you a rundown of the team real quick. Let's see what we got going on with the team here. All right, here we are in the locker room. You know what I'm saying? With our team, we don't have a lot of room here to show everybody. So we kind of got some big surprises, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to wait to make this video on Wednesday because that's when the waiver wire clears, and I knew I was going to be making some changes, so I wanted to put that in this video. So without further ado, let's just give a nice warm welcome to Joe Burrow and Nico Collins to the Angels. All right, welcome, boys. You have been drafted.
You are now one of my elite employees.
You are now one of my elite employees. So let's go over the thought process and what happened. All right. So I didn't need 2 defenses. Maybe that'll come into play later on, but the second defense is kind of like interchangeable. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to have 2 defenses, the second one can just be whatever you feel like is going to be a great matchup that week. And then you can have one just rock solid brick wall like the Minnesota Vikings. All right. So this week I'm going to play the brick wall so I don't feel like I need a second defense. So boom, we drop the Rams defense, pick up Joe Burrow. All right, the only LSU alum more popular than Livy Dunn. Bro's been having himself a pretty solid year. I think he's like the 5th ranked QB right now in terms of fantasy points, at least for sleeper. But some of you might be asking yourself, Lunar, what the hell, dude? That's 3 quarterbacks. What's going on? This is where we get into the plotting and scheming. All right, folks. So in case you didn't watch Monday Night Football, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers might have just ended their entire season in one game. All right. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin both gone for pretty much the whole season. Godwin is for sure out the rest of the season. Mike Evans might come back around like week 11. So, man, my boy, my Pookie Bear, Mayfield, might be in serious jeopardy. All right. He's been the number 2 quarterback right behind Lamar Jackson this whole time, going off every single game. Even though sometimes I don't start him. I'm sorry for that. But, oh, man, I just don't know if he can do it without those boys. You know what I'm saying? They were dropping easily 20 to sometimes 30 points a game. And that's a huge contributor as to why he's so good. That team honestly doesn't even really have a whole lot of wide receivers to begin with. Like, they don't really have much in terms of backup to step up into this role. Who knows? I mean, they do have people to fill the shoes. And those guys could go out there and just be absolutely insane. Maybe it's their time. But right now, I'm just scared. All right. I don't want to let him go yet because Mayfield's the truth right now, but the future's not looking bright. All right. And I have to think of a backup. If we had to do it, we would go with Love and Burrow. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. Burrow wasn't the first choice. I tried to get Jalen Hurts off our waiver because he was just sitting out there all cold and alone for no reason. But with where I was in the order, I didn't get him. Someone else picked him up this week. They got him before me, so we had to settle for Burrow. But that's still not settling. You know what I'm saying? That's really good. It's a good pickup. So yeah. We're rocking the triple quarterbacks right now just to kind of see how Mayfield goes. And then we also dropped T. Higgins for the acquisition of Nico Collins. Nico is currently out of commission right now on IR, but when he was playing, he was one of the top 5 receivers in the league, and I'm hoping that he still has some of that magic left in him when he comes back from injury. All right, maybe he's not as good, maybe he doesn't see as many targets when he comes back, who knows? But homeboy was frying when he was in, and I think he'll fry again. All right, it's still super early in the season, and I think there's a lot of time for him to do great things. So he can just hang out, get better on the bench. The Angels will take care of themselves, you know what I'm saying? We still got a pretty solid lineup. Everybody else besides those 2 changes are the same. I almost dropped Koo, and not gonna lie, I might drop Koo for somebody. I don't know. I can't say in case somebody in this league tries to go get who I want to get, so I'm not gonna say. But yeah, we might drop Koo. I don't know. I did change his little nickname here to It's Aight Buddy, get him next time. So maybe he does get him next time, and maybe we just stick with it. All right, enough of the Angels here though, fellas. I know they like the attention, but let's just get into the real meat and taters of this thing, our Week 8 matchup. All right, fellas, we're not gonna sugarcoat this. Sleeper has your boy at a 57% chance to win, and I'm honestly feeling pretty confident about it too. The projected scores are 123.7 to 115. I think he actually might be around 115, maybe even less, but I think I'm going to blow past the 123 pretty handedly. I will go on record saying that at one point, not to his face, I did say that Justin had probably the best team in the league, but he's honestly made some rather questionable roster moves that have been rather detrimental to the squad, and they're just not firing on as many cylinders as they were, let's say. Also, a big shocking development for him. He has Jaden Daniels. That was his star quarterback. He started him every game, but the boy's got like hurt ribs right now, broken ribs. He might play this week, might not, but either way, he had to swap out and get Caleb Williams. So that's a new change for his team here. Enough about his team though. Let's get into the actual matchups here. I'm just going to go down the list and see where I think things go. Starting with the quarterbacks, I mean, it's hard not to go with Love here. All right. He's got a match against Jacksonville Jaguars, not the best team at all, and Caleb Williams playing the Commanders. The Commanders aren't necessarily a defensive powerhouse either, but I mean, Jordan Love has QB1 potential to drop 30 points this game. And I personally don't see that much coming out of Williams. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not looking at specific, like, who allows more pass yards, more pass touchdowns per game or stuff. But I do just know off the top of my head, the Jaguars suck. All right. And I think that Jordan Love's going to have a better time with that. If I had to predict both their points right now, I'd say Love's good for around 28 to 30, and Caleb Williams probably going to get like 20 to 23. Still have a good game, but it's not going to be what Jordan Love does. Moving on to the running backs, I'm going to pit Henry against Breece Hall because I think both of them are going to go out Sunday and have 30-point games. All right, Breece Hall plays the New England Patriots, who also are terrible, and Derrick Henry plays the Cleveland Browns, who, you guessed it, are terrible. The Browns might have a bit better of a defense than New England does, but I think both of them are going to be all over the field, 30-point potential games out of them. And then for Mixon versus Gibbs, I think Mixon has a bit easier of a matchup, but I think both of them might be good for around 20 easily. Switching over to the wide receivers, I think I have a huge advantage on him in this category. So I'm going to be starting A.J. Brown and Stephon Diggs. He's got Brian Thomas Jr. and Terry McLaurin. Now, Brian Thomas and McLaurin, both pretty respectable wide receiver ones. Both have 20-point, maybe even 30-point potential in them, but these games, I don't see it. For starters, Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be playing the Packers on Sunday, and we just watched the Packers absolutely shred through Houston and CJ Stroud last weekend, all right? I felt the effects of the Packers defense on my wide receiver, and it hurt, all right? I think Diggs is better than Thomas, and I think that Stroud is better than Trevor Lawrence, so good luck with that, all right? If Houston had a tough time, the Jaguars are going to be in shambles on Sunday, all right? Green Bay might get 2 defensive touchdowns. Who knows? And then McLaurin, this dude's been doing pretty good with Jaden Daniels behind the wheel, but he might not even have him as a starting quarterback Sunday, which puts him up in jeopardy. Daniels wasn't the starting quarterback last Sunday because he got hurt like first quarter of that game. Their backup quarterback's honestly pretty solid, but for some reason, I just don't see him doing as well as he would. In terms of their scores, I think Thomas is going to put up a cool 8-point game, and then McLaurin might put up 15, but that's generous. I mean, even Sleeper doesn't think he's getting that much. We'll actually drop that down to 12. All right. He does have Jaden Reed and Cooper Kupp sitting on the bench, but Jaden Reed's currently questionable with an ankle injury, so even if he does end up playing this weekend, I don't think he'll see a whole lot of action. And Cooper Kupp's just now getting back from injury, going up against the number 1 defense, the Minnesota Vikings, so that's going to be a rough game. But I honestly wouldn't be surprised if maybe he tried to throw in Kupp for somebody. Who knows? And then switching over to my boys A.J. Brown and Stephon Diggs. All right, Brown has been firing on all cylinders ever since he got back from injury, and there's no reason to doubt him now, all right? I don't exactly know what the Bengals defense looks like against the pass game, but I think he's good for at least 20-plus points. And then switching over to Diggs, I think we see a big bounce-back game from Houston, all right? That offense is mad they couldn't get anything going, and this is a bit of like a in-state rivalry game too, so I think they're going to go in there hitting hard. And there's still no Nico Collins, so Diggs going to be the one catching all those long balls, hopefully getting a bunch of receiving touchdowns. We'll see how that goes. For Diggs, I'm scared to be too bullish on him, but I also think he could go in there and get a comfortable 20, all right? I think that we're going to see a big bounce-back game from that offense. Switching over to the tight ends, I mean, is this even a question? Brock Bowers is the number 1 tight end, and the Raiders have absolutely nobody to throw that ball to right now. So I think Bowers might be good for another 15-20 points. Kyle Pitts also has been kind of stepping up a little bit. He's been getting more action, but I'm going to put him at 10. Sleeper even has him at 8. I'm giving him, honestly, a lot more credit than they are, but yeah, we're going to keep him at 10 points. Moving on to the flex, we've got DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery. Now for this position, I actually did quite a bit of research because I honestly did not know who to start. But looking at this matchup against the Commanders defense, they've allowed pretty much every running back that's played against them at least 10 points, and they've given up a rushing touchdown in I think all of their games except 2. So I'm expecting at least a comfortable 10-point games out of Swift, maybe even more, because that boy's kind of started to pop off a little bit now that that offense is moving more. For his flex, he's starting David Montgomery, and I honestly think that Tennessee game's going to be kind of rough. Montgomery's just coming off of an injury from literally last game, so I don't think he's going to see as much action as maybe Gibbs will. And there also hasn't been a team to rush for over 100 yards against Tennessee, so I honestly think those boys are going to have a pretty tough time. Now that I'm thinking about it a little bit more too, I honestly might change Gibbs' number. I think he's going to get about 15. And then Montgomery honestly might be good for about 10, maybe less. We'll go 8 to 10. Moving down to kickers, I honestly wouldn't have much to say about this category if it weren't for Koo dropping 1 point. All right, that was shameful. I don't think that'll happen again. I'm expecting a big bounce back from him, hopefully. And then he has Austin Siebert. All right, that dude's like number 2, really good kicker. I'm sure he'll put up some points. Kicking's kind of hard to judge for points and scores and all that. I'm just going to put them both at an even 10. I think both of them will get 10. We'll say they both get 2 field goals, and I don't know. They both get 2 field goals and 2 extra points. Then finally, we have defense. All right. The Vikings are the number 1 defense, and we're going up against the LA Rams. All right. The Rams are one of the lowest scoring offenses in the whole league, so that should be a pretty easy matchup for us. But he's also got Detroit, and they're playing Tennessee, which also isn't a very high scoring offense. So I think both defenses will eat pretty handedly, but it's hard to not give the advantage to the Vikings since they've been number one all season. In terms of points, I think we'll give Detroit 12. We'll say they get 12 defensive points, and we'll say Minnesota gets like 16. They've been pretty handedly getting at least 10 defensive points a game. And with the defense out of the way, I think that is going to about do it here. You know what I'm saying? We've seen what Sleeper thinks is going to happen, but I'll throw up my projections like somewhere on the screen here. We'll throw up my numbers that I think the game's going to end up at, but like we said, I mean, we're feeling pretty confident in our team. It's looking like it's going to be another dub. Hopefully I didn't just like jinx that. I'm knock on wood. All right. I was feeling pretty confident last week and then feeling not confident really quick. So let's not talk too crazy here, but looking at the numbers, looking at the X's and O's of it, we're feeling pretty confident. That's all we'll say. It's going to be a good time, going to be a good matchup. But yeah, I think that's all I've got to talk about, fellas. That is going to do it for our Week 8 preview of fantasy football. I'm going to be doing these every Wednesday so we can wait for the waiver wires to clear and we can get the full look at everything. We can see if people make changes to the roster, all that fun business. But yeah, we're still going to keep this up, doing it as a weekly series. Wish your boy the best of luck on Sunday. I think everybody plays Sunday, right? Oh, our defense actually plays tomorrow. That's kind of cool. But other than that, this entire week's just going to get railed through on a Sunday, which is kind of cool. That's going to be pretty exciting to see. Don't have to wait for Monday and be all stressed out. But yeah, that's going to do it here for the preview, folks. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe for more content like this. Like I said, I'm going to be doing this every single week on Wednesday. So if you're into fantasy football, you want to talk some football with the in the extravaganza, come do it, man. Come do it. Also, if you have any like fantasy questions or opinions, you know what I'm saying, go ahead and leave them in the comment section. I'm trying to talk about this with anybody I can. And it's cool talking to people that aren't in your league because it's not like you're scheming against them, you know what I'm saying? Like I can't go to somebody in my league and be like, oh yeah, this is who I'm thinking about picking up or whatever, because then they're just going to pick them up or they're going to try to mess that up, you know what I'm saying? So let me talk with you fine folks out there. If you're in fantasy, go ahead and comment down below. Let me know how your league's going or your season. What's your team looking like? What's your week looking like? Anything. But yeah, I'm done rambling, folks. Thanks for listening to me and checking out my team. This has been Lunar, and welcome to Bound. Stop right the there. All right, hold on. Don't you leave just yet. All right, I forgot to, you know what I'm saying, show you the league. All right, let's go over the standings real quick. Just real fast, you know what I'm saying? No big deal, but your boy's the only 5-1 team in there. That is all. 5-1, 4-2, 4-2, 3-3. You see the fall off. All right, Kirby's Angels is big man on campus. We're actually only in the lead by 4 points, but that dub also is helping us out. You know what I'm saying? We got the better record. And it's kind of just me and BMO up here than everybody else. Everybody's just kind of getting left in the dust by us. But, yep, that is all. We're doing great in the standings. Have a good night. Later.